What's up, everybody? I'm a few minutes behind when I planned to do this, but I had some technical difficulties. So here we are. Um, okay, if you're viewing this live, you probably saw my post, or maybe you're just coming across it about St. Joseph Mo, Root for Change. And so I guess I'm going to start this video out, and while it's live, obviously people are joining as time goes on. So I'm going to start it a little slow and get into the whole point here of why I'm doing the video, and then my goal of the whole thing. So I just want to first start by saying this video is all of the opinions, everything I'm saying. It's not meant to. It's not meant to be negative. It's not. It's not meant to be critical, unnecessarily critical, but it's a root for change, just like I titled it. So I hope it's perceived like that, even though I may get passionate. You might hear frustration in my voice. So I'll start off by saying who I am. And I'm going to take this video, I'm going to post it to the page after the Facebook page. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and I will link it so that if you want to listen, it's kind of a pain in the ass to watch things on Facebook Live where, you can't close your phone. You have to have it open. So I'll put it on YouTube so you can close your phone and continue listening. So I'm going to start this video off by saying who I am. If you don't know who I am, this is what I'm about. So I'm an entrepreneur here in St. Joe. I was born and raised in St. Joseph, Missouri. I own a pretty iconic St. Joe business. A lot of you will know if you live in St. Joe. It's Chris and Kate's Ice Cream. So the big pink cone. My wife and I bought it in 2020. We bought it because it was a fun business. It was something that I went to as a kid, and something that whether you're 2 years old or whether you're 100 years old, the big pink cone. And I've always thought that was really cool. So I own Chris and Kate's here in St. Joe and Maryville. I own Fit Republic, which is another obviously locally owned business down on South Belt in St. Joe. We're a nutrition store, health and fitness, and I have Lean Kitchen inside of that. So Lean Kitchen is a meal prep company that I started several years ago. And then just because I want you to know that I come at this from an angle of not just knowing St. Joe, but knowing other markets, we began franchising Lean Kitchen in 2018. So we have currently 32 locations open in 14 states. We have over 60 locations sold, 65 locations, 67 locations, somewhere in there sold. We have locations from the West Coast to the East Coast. So, we have locations in Idaho. We've dealt with Coeur d'Alene. We've dealt with Spokane, Washington. We have fantastic franchisees all through Missouri with stores in Kansas City, multiple stores in the St. Louis market, Columbia, all the way to Alabama to we're working with Minnesota right now in the Twin Cities. We have several locations throughout the South in South Carolina and Georgia. We have locations opening in North Carolina. So Maryland we're dealing with right now. We have 6 stores in development right now. And I say all this so you know who I am if you don't. And so that I'm having a perception of not just St. Joe. With one of the things I'm going to mention later in this video, I had a city person tell me, well, if you think St. Joe's so difficult to work with, what other cities have you dealt with? Well, since you asked. So anyways, I visit these markets and I talk to people in these markets, and every day I talk to people in different markets about Lean Kitchen who are like, man, my community would be perfect for this. And I see that these communities are growing. They're thriving. They're similar sizes, slightly bigger, way bigger than our market here in St. Joe, but they're thriving communities. One that sticks out that I'm going to talk about. I love Greenville, South Carolina. If you've ever been to Greenville, South Carolina, I've never talked to somebody who's been there and doesn't like it. It's a city that's 75,000, 100,000 people. I mean, it's a similar size to St. Joe. And when I go to these markets and I see this, I can't help but think we could be this. And it's infuriating that we're not. So that's a little of my background. The whole purpose of the video is I want to spark some, open-mindedness and get people to have a different mindset about St. Joe. And maybe I can push this forward. We can collectively push this forward to leaders in our community, to not just political leaders, but people who can help push this message forward if you agree with it. So if you have any love for St. Joe, you might not agree with everything I say, but if you have any love for St. Joe, I think you'll appreciate and agree with a lot of where I'm coming from. So, and I also want to give one more preface to the conversation. I know this isn't going to be for everyone, and that's okay. We're all allowed to have our own thoughts. And I'm not going to entertain asterisks to the conversation. So what do I mean by that? I mean, when I start talking about code and how St. Joe's ridiculous, I'm not saying let's go be like little towns I've been to in Arkansas that have zero code and there's trailers next to mansions. I'm not saying that. But I am saying, I guess what I say, don't take it for just face value and put a blanket absolute statement to everything. I'm just trying to start conversations. Obviously, if we had time to talk one-on-one, it wouldn't be an absolute statement about something. So understand that. And I do understand that many of these issues I'm going to talk about are intertwined and they go way deeper than what I'm going to be able to cover. And there's things that I don't know the ins and outs of them. Okay. So I'm not trying to come off as a know-it-all. I'm not trying to come off as that, but I do have some observations that from experience of going to other markets and just being a free thinker, I think that will be interesting to bring up. So that's the last thing I'll say. I'm a free thinker. I'm open-minded that I don't know everything, and I'm not being bought. There's nobody paying me to say this message. There's nobody, politicians I am sitting talking and convoluting a message with. This is just my opinion spewed out to everybody in hopes that I can spark a conversation that's more unifying and more positive for change. So I have some notes here on my computer from guiding me. I'm going to try to stick with those. And again, after this, I will put it on YouTube. I will link it, and I hope you watch it. I hope you share it. I hope there's something out of this. If you care about St. Joe, the 30, 40 minutes I talk, whatever it's going to be, I hope you take the time to listen to it. So I want to start by talking about what St. Joe used to be. And when I say what St. Joe used to be, I'm talking long before any of us were here on this earth, okay? I want to go back to late 1800s, early 1900s. And the reason I want to go back to that is because once you hear what I have to say about it, it's imperative to know how much we've declined since then. So what did St. Joe used to be? St. Joe was incorporated in 1843. It was a jumping off point for people who were on the Oregon Trail who were heading west. Combined with the river, I mean, this place was bustling. Like, it was crazy. Downtown was booming. It was the golden age of St. Joe. In 1858, the Patey House was built, which is a 140-room luxurious hotel back then. In 1860, the Pony Express began, and I thought this was fascinating. In late 1880s, either 89 or 88, 1889 or 1888, St. Joe was the second city in the USA to install electric streetcars. So if that doesn't tell you how far ahead we were, how much of a golden age it really was for St. Joe, and we were booming. We had 170 factories approximately. We had 11 railroads that ran through here. This is insane. We were one of the highest millionaire per capita cities in the United States. Think about that, meaning more millionaires here per capita than almost everywhere else in America. There was historic neighborhoods. Down on Hall Street, it was called Millionaire Row. We had a population of 100,000 people, which when you consider the population growth of America, it's even more staggering that we had 100,000 people. I'll get into that in a minute. And, down by Lake Contrary in the South End, we had a freaking amusement park. There was horse racing. There was a horse racing track and a grandstand, all closed in 1964. And then I love this just because I'm an entrepreneur. I love sharing this. A lot of people about St. Joe, I feel like, don't know this. I feel like this is something that the chamber and we should lean on just because it's a neat thing. We talk about M&Ms from St. Joe. How about the fact that a man named Jay Sarno, who's an American developer and developed a hotel you might have heard of called Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, is from St. Joe. It's kind of a cool fact and goes with the whole theme that St. Joe was booming. It was the place to be. Okay. Then decades of poor decision making, leadership, and everything led us to where we are now. And all the industry and the dollars went down the road to Kansas City, and St. Joe never took a swing. We began playing scared, and we've been stagnant and declining ever since. And stagnant and declining are the same thing in my opinion. I guess I'll get into kind of where we are currently. Since the 2010 census, we have had a population decline of 6,000 people. Okay, that's pathetic. And then you get city and political positions. Look it up. Google decline in St. Joe, and you'll see the articles that come up. And you have political positions, you have city positions who they say, well, they downplay it. They say, well, we're the same as we were a century ago, so it's not that bad. Let me give you something to think about. In 1923, the US population was 111 million people. In 2023, the US population is 334 million people. So it tripled. I think you would be hard pressed to find cities of our size, 70, 100, 120,000 people, that haven't thrived and grown in the past several decades. But here we are in St. Joe, the population of America's tripled and we're declining. And even if we were staying the same, that's not anything to write home about. So when these politicians, these leaders say, well, it's the same as it was a century ago, who gives a shit? That's not progress. It's brushing it under the rug. So, and on that thought, a community has to have tax dollars to support the infrastructure, to support growth, to make the community thrive. Okay. So either we get more people to come into St. Joe and live here, and that raises our tax base, or people move away, we continue declining in the economic stagnation we've had, and therefore taxes have to go up. Because if you have less people, we have to raise taxes. So overall, these last several years, everything, I'm going to get into this. It's a perfect segue into what I'm going to talk about first. So four reasons that I believe St. Joe has had economic stagnation and that we've kind of just declined and had this pathetic history unfold. Okay. Number one, every at bat we get, not only do we strike out, we don't even swing. Okay. We don't even strike. I'm a big baseball guy. Okay. I like sports. In baseball, you got to swing to get on base. You got to get the ball into the outfield. You got to run to first. You got to hit some home runs here and there. We're in this area, like the 2015 Royals. We played small ball. We got on base. We stole second. We bunted to get somebody over to third, popped out to get them home. We swung. We got on base, right? St. Joe doesn't do that. St. Joe doesn't even swing. We don't even attempt to get on base, because every time something hits a ballot with a tax increase, everybody and their brother says, no. Well, if you haven't noticed, taxes have gone up anyways, okay? So I get that we don't want higher taxes. I don't want to pay higher taxes. You don't want to pay higher taxes. But it's almost like we either improve things, which will have taxes go up, and then hopefully we can slow them down by drawing people into St. Joe, by keeping people in St. Joe and not having everybody who's affluent or makes money move away. Or we can continue down the path we have. The taxes are still going up either way. Seriously, they've gone up significantly. Sales tax is up to 9.7, 9.8%. That's gone up considerably in the last several years. So let me give some examples of this, okay? And back to what I said when I prefaced this video. I'm not getting into the nuances of whether or not I agree with each of these things. We're not going to dive into the rabbit holes of the asterisks and well this, well that. I'm just giving you examples, okay? These were a few examples that are super recent in my head, okay? Krug Park. Hit the ballot. Let's make Krug Park this badass concert area. Let's try to shoot for Red Rocks in Colorado. Let's attract tourism. Let's attract concerts. Let's generate some dollars. Okay. Whether you liked the plan or not, whether you felt like it was a well thought out plan or not, guess what? Everybody voted no. Shoot it down. Don't even take a swing. Okay. On to the next thing. The river development. Okay. Let's develop the heck out of the river and make it this cool tourist destination. Now, I can see the people who raise their hand over here again, and I'm not going to spend too much time going into the nuances because I'm not speaking in absolutes here. I can see the people over here who just love it. Let's do it. We got to take a chance. We got to do something. And I see the people over here who say, damn thing floods every year. Why would we spend all that money? I'm not getting into that. But my point is, it hits the ballot. Again, what do? No. Let's not take a swing. Let's not improve anything. No, off the ballot. And then let's get into the real massive problem of St. Joe here on number one, the every at bat we strike out. The schools. Our school system is in the shitter, right? For lack of better words. Let's just call it what it is. We don't need to sugarcoat it. We're not on The View here. And I'm not a politician, so I don't need to sit here and bubble wrap what I have to say. I'm saying what everybody's thinking, which is our school system is very disappointing. Okay. Our school system began the massive decline when good old Dan Colgan came in as superintendent and screwed everybody and paid out the stipends and all the money and padded his retirement and everything else. Guys, it was an asshole thing to do. I don't know the guy personally, but we can all agree it was an asshole thing to do. It set St. Joe's School District up for long-term failure, and people haven't been able to brush that off. That erupted in 2014. 2014 and 15 is when this topic took place. The guy's long gone. Okay? That was almost a decade ago. We have to move forward. If we don't move forward, there's no improvement to our school district ever. So, the next at bat I want to talk about we had an at bat here of having a new high school and the American Family Building and consolidating schools and everything else. Again, I don't care if you were over here loving it, if you were over here and you thought the plan wasn't thought out. I can see both sides of it. You know what my thought was when that came on the ballot? God, can we just swing? Can we take a shot for once instead of strike out like St. Joe always does, playing scared, watching it pass us by? Oh, the taxes are going to go up. The taxes are going up regardless. They're going up either way. So, like, we need new schools. We need improvements. We have to have this improved because the school district is the future. If you look up every market in America that has terrible schools that decline, the economy follows it because people want to get their kids into better schools. So I don't know what the solution is. Okay. I'm not sitting here proposing it. I just know this. Krug Park, let's make it a development. Swing. Nope. We're not even going to swing. Just a miss. River development. No swing. Let's just miss on that one. New high school. Let's do a school. Let's do something to reformulate the school system. Nope. Let's not even swing at that. Let's just keep saying no to everything. Like, can we at least ground out? Can we at least vote something and it doesn't work and it flops and we have to go back to the drawing board? Why do we have to just continue to just say no to everything and never take a damn swing? It drives me insane. Downtown development. And I could catch some flack for this one, but I'll say this. The downtown development has been incredible for St. Joe. It's moved way too slow. And my belief, and part of why it's moved way too slow. And before I say this, understand, yes, this is sports stuff, okay, but I like history. Okay, I love history. And I love preservation of history, and I love that, okay? We have got to get away from the preservation of everything. I understand. Let's do some of it. You got Room 108 downtown. That's an incredible building. You have a lot of preservation that has happened. That's awesome. It's not economical, and it's slowing things down too much. It's not efficient from a literal energy efficiency standpoint. It's not efficient for dollars. It's not efficient for speed of development. So let's find a fine line. Let's find a fine line and start a conversation of, hey, preservation's important, but not to the degree that every brick and every window has to be all original and we're going to really slow things down like nuts, right? I mean, we got to figure out a fine line there. So that's my first point, guys, and why I believe St. Joe is stuck. And probably one of the biggest points that I could get across in this whole video is we strike out without swinging on every at bat we get. Nobody ever wants to take a chance at anything. We vote everything down. And how do we ever improve if we just never accept any change? It doesn't happen in any industry. It doesn't happen in any economy. And if you aren't willing to change, if you aren't willing to put things in the past like Dan Colgan. Guys, Dan Colgan, what is the guy, 80? Who cares? It's in the past. It was a shitty thing he did. It's in the past. We got to move on. Every time anything comes up with improving the schools, everybody says, no, we're not spending $1 on the schools. You got that Dan Colgan in there that screwed everybody. Dan Colgan was 10 years ago. Can we please move on? Can we please begin going going forward? That's number one. Number one is we got to quit striking out without swinging. Issue number two, okay, that I think is a major issue, and I think it's a conversation nobody's having, and it's something that I've brought up to many people, whether they're affluent financially, whether they're impactful on a political level, whether they're impactful and they're a business owner in the community. Okay, I bring this up, and every time I get shot down. Explain to me a good reason, and you're welcome to put it in the comments. Explain to me a good reason of why we have separate county and city governments. Okay, why do we not have a unified government? Because all I see is inefficiencies and reasons for roadblocks and nothing to go through and move forward, because you have the county over here wanting to do this, you have the city council and the mayor over here that doesn't want to do anything, and we come to a standstill every time anything happens. I think that, it's obvious that there obviously people, city and county, see efficiencies in this city and county government. I think there's too much ego, and that's why people don't want to consolidate. But it's obvious they see efficiencies. Why do I say that? We combine the law enforcement center. We combine the St. Joe Police Department and the Sheriff Department, the county and the city entities. Why did we do that? Because it made sense, right? It cut overhead. It consolidated them all into one place. We didn't have to build a whole new facility. So it made sense to consolidate those. Oh, it also made sense to consolidate the health department. The county and city health department, it's one. Why didn't we keep that separate? Because it doesn't make sense. Yet we continue to keep this divided government of city versus county that can't work together really to move real progress forward. And what do you have? You have the St. Joe Police Department and the Sheriff Department. This is the obvious one, okay? I'm pretty convinced here that you can't sell me on why this makes sense, but if you can, go ahead and try. You have the city that tries to run tax increases to recruit officers, rightfully so. Being a police officer, damn near one of the most underpaid, underappreciated positions. I can't even imagine doing it. Side note, I'll go off on a rabbit trail. Last night I was talking to a buddy, and we were talking about this deal popped up on Instagram, and it was this guy, he climbs cell towers, and a guy that climbs cell towers to replace the light bulbs gets paid $13 to $17 an hour. There's a guy that climbs 1,500-foot tall ones that get paid an astronomical amount of money, but people who climb cell phone towers get paid $13 to $17 an hour to remove the light bulbs. And I was thinking, you couldn't pay me to do that. That's risk your whole life for $13 an hour. And then my mind went to, shit, you couldn't. I mean, think of officers, think of police officers, sheriff deputies. These guys are out risking their life doing what they do for, ridiculously low pay. Anyways, I digress. Back to the topic. You have the city who runs on the ballot and gets things on the ballot to vote for to increase tax to pay officers so they can recruit officers. So then the taxes go up. Then over here, the sheriff department, they can't find deputies. So what do? The county goes and says, hey, let's put it on the ballot to raise taxes so we can increase pay to recruit deputies. And then they get the tax increase, and round we go with the taxes going up, and the St. Joe Police Department and the county sheriff department having to compete for officers, right? What sense does that make? Why don't we unify the governments? Every time I bring up a unified government, every time I've had the conversation, damn near every single time, I found about one or two people that will agree with me. But it's funny because the people who disagree, they have no reason. It's usually, that'd be too expensive. Oh, that won't happen because that'd be too difficult. I got curious. I went and looked up a study, found like 75 governments that have done it, okay, in the last few decades. I don't even know if this fully ends up working for us, okay? But is it not worth a conversation? Is it really worth just shooting down every time it's brought up? No, it won't happen. Nope, we're not going to do that. I mean, really? Nobody's even having the conversation. Until I said this, chances are you probably haven't even thought of it. And I'm not saying that because I'm the Messiah. I'm just saying you probably haven't even thought of, why do we do this? Why are business owners paying for a city license to run their business and a merchant county license to run? What is the point? So let me tell you an example close to home that did it. Kansas City and Wyandotte County. Kansas City and Wyandotte County unified their government in 1997. Okay. Another very respectable large market that's been on the rise, booming in America, Nashville. Nashville and Davidson County in 19, it was either 62 or 63, unified their government. Okay. nothing but progress. So why is it not worth a conversation? Is it the best idea in the world? I don't know. Are there intricacies that I'm not sure of? Absolutely. We got to at least talk. Just like I said on point number 1, are we just never going to swing? What we're doing isn't working. It's not working. Okay? Number 3. Number 3 of 4 reasons St. Joe is stuck. Man, this one hits home for me, okay? St. Joe is not pro-business. They're unpleasant to deal with. They have inconsistent experiences. Their departments are all uneducated and misinterpret the rules. Okay, I'm going to tell you some personal examples, and I'm going to tell you some other business owner examples. And if these don't fire you up, if these don't light a fire under your ass, I don't know how they don't. Okay. So I told you I own Chris and Kate's ice cream. I own Chris and Kate's ice cream. I want to be able to increase our speed. I want to be able to increase our product. We can push out the window to sell more ice cream, which what does that do? That generates more tax dollars for the community. Okay. Let's not forget small business is the engine of our economy. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Okay. They generate tax dollars. So I go and I get a contractor. I talk with an architect. I make sure that we're not violating any St. Joe things. And I was simply going to back one of my parking. If you guys know the big pink cone on the Belt Highway, I was going to back one of the parking spots up and I was going to build out a wall around what would be a walk-in cooler that I could access from inside the ice cream cone building. As you can imagine, it's pretty small in there. We might have a basement, but it's pretty small in there. Okay. So I thought, well, if we could fit more ice cream. So I went and bought all the lumber, bought a walk-in cooler, spent several $1,000s and get my contractor out there. And we begin building this walk-in cooler. What does the city do? It's not a conversation. It's not a, hey, what's going on? It's come out, be on a power trip, have your big old ego and smack a stop work order right on the side of things. Call them. Why? Why the stop work order? Oh, you got to have footings for this 8x10, 80 square foot cooler of walls that you're building. You got to put footings and concrete in the ground. I met the city inspector that was doing this inspection out there who put the stop work order. I met him, myself, my contractor, and an architect from here locally. Okay. All 4 of us meet right out there at Chris and Kate's. We begin talking through why he's putting a stop work order on this. Well, he's putting a stop work order on this because this rule says that 80 square feet and blah, 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 and under the square footage, and you have to have footings. It's not how it read at all, period. You say whatever you want. If you're at the city, it's not how it read at all. My architect I had there interpreted it. You guys misinterpreted it. They raised hell. I should have kept building it. In hindsight, I should have said, you guys pound salt. I should have built it. Tore it down, a few $1,000s lost, move on. That's when it started that I wanted to make a video like this. And I've been putting a note in my phone, compiling all kinds of thoughts. Get to the most recent thing that sparked it. I own Fit Republic, okay? I wanted to do a very simple cosmetic remodel, okay? Moving a wall that was non-load bearing from here to here, make a little bigger office. I built the wall, should have got a permit. On me, should have got the permit to build the wall. Afterwards, so anyways, they send in somebody. They want to put a stop work order on it. I said, hey, I didn't know. It's the point of making it an unpleasant experience. Instead of coming and saying, hey, this is how it should have gone. Can we get to what we need? And we'll get you a permit. And you guys continue doing this. I know you're trying to do stuff for the betterment of your business and the community. Nope. They come in with their big old ego and their red slip, stop work order. I'm not stopping, period. Okay. I moved a wall 4 feet and it did nothing. And they get on this power trip about public safety and everything else. Again, let me say, if I owe a permit, I'll pay the permit. If I owe a small fine, I'll pay the small fine, even though I'm trying to do things that are better. But stop work order. Not as only is it stop work order, it's this super unpleasant experience of you need to get us this, this, and this is going to have to be approved. And then they have the gall to ask me, well, if St. Joe's so tough to work with, what other cities have you worked with? Well, if you listen to the beginning of this video, I've worked with a lot. And St. Joe continues to be one of the toughest to work with. Okay. Let me get some examples that aren't mine. Okay. Joe and Katie Lane, you may have heard of them. They're in St. Joe. Rick Gilmore, Joe and Katie Lane, they're doing amazing things for St. Joe. Okay. They're developing the hell out of stuff for the community. They opened Joetown Speedway. When they opened Joetown Speedway, okay, they got put through hell by some lady that was at the city that's no longer there. They wanted $10,000 in plants and foliage around the track. Didn't want to let them open because of it. $10,000 in plants and foliage. What reason? Just for the hell of it. I know another business that they wanted trees out on this one section of their property. They wanted trees, or they weren't going to give them their certificate of occupancy to open. How ridiculous is that? Okay, and back to the uneducated, the misinterpreting things. When they did Joetown Speedway, after looking at all the plans and they get all the progress going, they call Joe and Katie Lane and Rick. They jerked them around saying, "What's keeping the carts on the track?" On page 3, guardrails. On page 3 of our plan, we have guardrails. That's what's keeping the carts on the track. Had to go down there, and Rick had to go down there and hold their hand to read it. You don't even know what you're looking at. You know, when they have Joetown Mini Golf. They have Joetown Mini Golf. This year, they didn't want to give them their permit, the certificate of occupancy, their permit to open. Don't want to give it to them. What reason? No good reason. Bullshit. Another reason. Bullshit. Didn't have any good reason. Finally, good for them. They said, "We're opening, like it or not." City attorneys in the parking lot that day, "Here's your permit." Why are we putting business owners through this who are trying to better the community? Why are we doing it? Ricky Deans. Okay, Ricky Deans, a badass addition to our community. Bumper boats, I think laser tag, I mean, all kinds of really cool stuff for the people in our community, the children in our community to enjoy. Let me give you a prime example of St. Joe at its finest with the most ridiculous BS they can spew. At Ricky Dean's, they were building it. They're going to have big trucks in there. They're going to have semis in there. So they wanted their concrete curbing to hold up so it wouldn't crumble. So what did they do? They ordered a more expensive concrete rock that had granite in it. Okay, so it was stronger than a concrete with limestone, so that it would hold up better with these trucks that are going to be in and out over the years. City comes out while this is no BS, guys. You're going to hear this, and this should fire you up. Okay, the city comes out and they find out they're pouring concrete that has granite in it and not limestone like the plans call for. Same exact curbing, everything, just a more expensive quality curbing. They stop it. Stop the operation. Stop the pouring of the concrete. Plans don't call for this. No, you have to pour limestone curb. They end up pouring the limestone curbing, and you know what? It all is the exact same, but those curbs are going to crumble in a few years. So what's going to happen? And what was the reason for that? All of it's going to need redone. It's going to look like shit. What was the reason for it? It was a power trip. It was the BS of this city with the inconsistencies. Okay? I'm going to name another example. Brett Easley. If any of you know Brett Easley, the guy is a stand-up guy that has poured into our community for years. Okay? He was at Missouri Western. He's now with the Sports Commission, a county-funded nonprofit entity with the Visitor Bureau. Anyways, he's poured into the community. Okay? He wants to bring the first marathon and half marathon to St. Joe, which he's doing it this October, and it's going to be awesome. And it's a great progressive thing for our community. So we're going to put on this marathon, half marathon, the first one. I'm just going to leave it at this, okay? It would have never happened if it was just up to our mayor and our city council members. If it was up to the city, it would have never happened. Thank God Brett has the balls to push forward and say it's happening, because it wouldn't have happened, and there's no reason not to. But we just get pushback for nothing. Why? Because we play scared. Because we don't want change. Like, I hope this is resonating, because it fires me up as I talk about it. Last couple examples I'll give you. There's builders in this town who have developed houses, who have developed commercial buildings, who have developed a ton of property, who won't even develop in St. Joe anymore. They won't even consider it because of all the crap that the city of St. Joseph puts them through. It's pathetic. I talked about Greenville, South Carolina earlier. Greenville, South Carolina is this beautiful, booming market that you could tell the people who live there take pride in where they live. It's a place to be proud of. Great schools. They have this really cool food court area, and it's all storage containers. And so it's storage containers in a big kind of square shape. You go into this food court. All of them are leased out with local food people. They got artificial turf in there. They got little stages for live music. People can come in there. That place is bumping. It's bumping every day. On the weekends, people have live music there. It's a really cool addition to the community. I know a couple individuals who have tried to put storage container-esque buildings in St. Joe, shot down. No, those are ugly. City says we'll never let those fly. Again, not pro-business, not pro moving forward. You know, it's let's not let things happen for the betterment of our community. Let's play scared. Let's take no chances. Let's not have any unifying conversations. Let's be hard on business owners and go on power trips and make it difficult for our businesses. It's absolutely asinine, and it's infuriating. And I'll just say this: our mayor, our city council, a lot of these people, they ran on less red tape, they ran on less government. And when these people run, when these local positions, when they're running, when do you ever hear what they think? I mean, let's be honest. Are you voting for what you believe to be the lesser of two or three evils running? Are you voting for, blue and red? I mean, do we even know what these people think? Do they ever go live in an open forum like this and speak and go on the fly and not some scripted whatever? And do they ever get pelted with questions? Do they ever come out and actually stand for something? No, none of them do. They put signs in yards and they put some slogan together, and you don't know what you're voting on. And then they get in office and they do nothing. And that's why where we are. They do nothing. Number 4, the 4 reasons why St. Joe is stuck. Number 4. And this is something that I'm not going to hardcore put this on our leaders. I'm going to put this on people. And me talking about it, I hope I can influence some people to change their mind. Okay? Number 4 is mindset. The mindset of the people that live here, of a lot of people that live here, is garbage. Okay? I hate St. Joe. I hate St. Joe. St. Joe sucks. There's no money to be made in St. Joe. I can't wait to move out of St. Joe. With really, let's be real, no basis. You have no basis for saying this. You're listening to what people above you, the generation before you, you're listening to bullshit, and you're letting it feed into you and influence you, and it's a contagious mindset. Okay, so mindset, it filters from the top down. Okay, so in companies, if the boss has a terrible mindset, it filters right down to the employees. And younger generations, if your parents, the boomers, if the older mindsets have poor mindsets, piss poor, Dan Colgan screwed everybody, let's not give anything to the school, it's going to filter right down. The next generation is doomed because of all your negative, cynical mindsets. So we got to change. You need to think for yourself. Again, this is something that I hope I can have some influence. Obviously, it's not, the other things, God willing, I hope we can make some changes. This stuff, it's got to be internal. It's an inside job. People need to watch this. You need to share it with people who say, or you need to share your mindset about that's similar to this to people who say, St. Joe sucks. I hate St. Joe. There's nothing to do here. All of that St. Joe hate for no reason. Crime is everywhere. Okay? It's everywhere. And it's always going to be everywhere. But overall, you can't tell me St. Joe's not a fine place to raise your family. I mean, it's low cost of living. I don't know. It's a lack of pride. It's terrible mindset. It's contagious. People feed off of it. You know what I get so sick of hearing? I get sick of hearing there's nothing to do here. What are you expecting? I mean, really, look at the lanes and what they've built. Okay, they got Coolcrest, they got Joetown Mini Golf, they got the golf carts, they're building Ricky Dean's. I own a cool ice cream shop to go to. My cousin owns Baskin Robbins across the street. If you want to go down the road to Kansas City, you can run down there and have a great dinner. We're an hour, 45 minutes away. We got the airport close by if you want to bounce out of St. Joe for a trip. I mean, really, what is it that you think? Do you think because we don't have, people say things like, well, I wish we had chicken and pickle. Go to Kansas City and enjoy chicken and pickle one evening and then come back home. I mean, we're right here. It's you don't have a lot of traffic in St. Joe. There's a lot of great things to appreciate. There's nothing to do here because there's bars downtown. There's things to do. It's a mindset. It's perspective. We could be all of these growing markets that I visit and talk to people, and it's infuriating to me that we're not. And I think that we're not largely because of this mindset that filters top down. And it's crazy. So, and I'm going to tell you, I don't run for office. I'm not planning to run for office. Let me make it very clear. This is my free thinking. I'm not getting paid to say any of this. You're not going to tap me and convince me to run. If I want to run someday, I will. Okay. I'm busy I believe in capitalism. Okay. And I think it's good for economies. And I believe in that. And I'm busy doing that. If I can influence some people with change by having a voice on here, by taking this to other people who can make a change, then that's what I'm going to do. But you got to hold the people that we elected responsible. You got to hold these leaders that promise no red tape, less red tape, that haven't done a damn thing. We got to press them. We got to start these conversations. We got to band together if we want to see any change. This whole, well, I'm not going to speak up because it doesn't, you're not going to get anywhere. We got to try. That's me. This is my at bat. I'm at least trying, When people run for local office, we gotta put them on the spot. This needs to be expected. This right here, looking in the camera on a live, no script, talking about what you really think, this should be expected. And if you're not willing to do this and you're not willing to get pelted with questions, then step down. Why are we even doing it? Do we vote on the President of the United States based off of some slogan? No, they have all their little debates and they have everything and all these chances and the town halls and every chance to see what they stand for. Local government, which is debatably, is going to impact your life way more than the big guy in Washington, D.C. Local government is way more important, yet we don't have the same standard. We don't expect to hear from them. Why is that? Who started that? Because what happens is these people get in office, and naturally this video goes political a little bit, right? Because you either love what we stand for and what we're doing, and you disagree with me on all this shit, and you wouldn't have watched this far probably, or you agree with it. Either way, okay? Either we get the other side in office of doesn't believe what I believe today, and that's a problem in my opinion, or we get the people who do believe what I believe in office, which we have a couple of them right now. There's one I know of on city council, maybe two. There's one that's our mayor. They supposedly they believe what I believe. I would assume, right, based off of what they ran on, but they do nothing because they're scared to ruffle feathers. They're scared to speak up and have people that don't like them. What are you doing in office then? What's the point? The point is change. That's my opinion. If you're doing this, it's for change. They're practically unpaid positions, most of these ones. What are we doing? So maybe if we could change, then the people who make money in St. Joe, the affluent people who have families, who everybody bounces to North KC, to Parkville, to Smithville, to Overland Park, everybody bounces because we don't take pride here. And the St. Joe School District is in the gutter, has been. Like, we got to think bigger. We got to think about freaking change. If you don't like the unified government idea, speak up. Tell me why. Tell me why what we have going on is working better than my really not crazy thought through process of why don't we unify those governments? Because to me, it's obvious. It's an obvious, at least, conversation. Why are we putting business owners through hell over what kind of concrete curbing they're putting in that isn't according to their plans, their architect plans? Who cares? Higher quality. We want, you know what? I see what you were trying to do. You were going to put in a better quality curbing. We want you to do less quality. That fits the plans. That's good for our town. What are we doing? You're not going to open because we need to see more plants. Let's not do a marathon. Marathon would be cool. It's a reason to have people who are runners and all of the Midwest come here to St. Joe and see our world-class parkway system. That's what I said, world-class parkway system. You might like it. You might not like that dollars have been spent on it. You know what? It's damn nice. But let's not show that off. Let's not bring people to St. Joe because we don't want to do a marathon. That's what we have going on right now. It's infuriating, and it should frustrate you. To land this plane, I started this video with talking about how I own a franchise company, Lean Kitchen. And every decision we make, okay, every decision we make for our franchise owners is how can we help our owners be more profitable and more successful? So they'll want to open more stores so we can impact more people's lives with Lean Kitchen and we can grow. Okay. That's how I think. That's how my leadership team thinks. And if you talk to our franchisees, you know what? They might not agree with every single thing we do, but damn it, I promise you, I'm convinced almost all of them would, and if not all of them, would at least say, hey, we do care. And all the decisions we make are for our franchise owners. And why do I say that? If you're in a city position, if you're in a county position, if you're in any of those seats, if you're going to run for one, if you're not open-minded and thinking, how can we change? How can we improve? How can we grow and inflict betterment and growth into St. Joe? If that's not your mindset and you're just doing it because you want to, oh, I'm in this position. If that's your goal, don't do it. Okay? We've got to start thinking better. We've got to accept change. One last thing I'll say on mindset. The schools. You got your people in South End who's South Side pride. And, oh, well, I grew up with Benton and we got to have Benton. And you got your North Enders who they grew up at Lafayette, and Lafayette's not going anywhere. And you got your people who went to Central, good old boys, Central. The ship done sailed. We have to improve. We have to change. If we don't, this I can say with fact. This is an opinion. If we don't change, we're continued on the same trajectory that we've been on for the last century. And it's going to keep going downhill. And if you look at the population projections for the next several years, it's declining. And that's pathetic. And the taxes are going up regardless. So all you cynical people who don't want taxes to go up for anything, you know what? If you vote no on everything, people are leaving and taxes are going up. And you can disagree with me, you can agree with me, you can be my family member, you can be not. I don't care. That's the fact of my opinion of what I think's happening and what we've seen happen. We got to have some freaking change. We got to embrace it. We got to quit playing scared. We got to open our mind. We got to stop having people get in office that have this narrow-minded, short-sighted, axe-to-grind mindset of I don't want to ruffle any feathers, because we're just going to continue down the same damn path we've been on. So, I plead you, if you've had similar experiences when it comes to the business stuff, getting put through the ringer with St. Joe, please comment on either the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments here. So that way, if I can progress this conversation upward and at least I swing, at least I take an at bat and try to make a difference, then I can call you and I can say, hey, would you come to this meeting with me or something to try to inflict a change? If you have any of those experiences, please comment them. And if you have thoughts on the city versus county government and unifying it, and hey, you never thought of that and you think it's a good idea, or you think it's a terrible idea, give me a why. But comment, engage with me here. Give me some feedback. I want to end on a positive note. As I said in the beginning, I did this video with the purpose of sparking a positive conversation. It's not just to be critical. It's not to be a jerk. It's not to call people out. It's to... I guess it is a little call people out. It's to try to start a conversation. Why are we going backwards and we're cool with that? If we're staying the same, that's not cool. Staying the same is dying. We're going backwards. We need to be growing. The population of America is growing. All of the markets are growing. And I want to end on a few positive notes. We have a lot of awesome stuff going on in St. Joe. We have literally a world-class parkway system. We have an amazing trail system. We have people that travel all over the region to come ride bikes on our trails, okay? You think that was a waste of money? Whatever. It's improvement in St. Joe, okay? We have an awesome river walk. We have, this is up for debate because it's perspective, but I did just get back from New York City, and my wife and I, when we got back from New York City, we were driving down the road like, damn. You compare St. Joe to New York City, we're the cleanest place on earth. Now, I know you can also go to tourist towns that aren't New York City that are way cleaner than us. And we have progress there to make, but a whole lot better than these big, nasty cities. The cost of living is incredible here. Incredible from a nationwide standpoint. there's not a lot of traffic. We're 40 minutes from the airport. We just got a brand new airport down the road. I mean, it's all about perspective. Do you choose to see positive things, or do you choose to just say, St. Joe sucks? Because that's what your parents say. Do you choose to say, St. Joe sucks because that's what your friends say? I can't wait to move out of St. Joe. Maybe we should start sharing a positive mindset and outlook with our children, with our colleagues. Maybe we should start challenging people a little bit when you hear them say, I hate St. Joe, I want to move. Why? Why? Because a lot of people don't have a good reason. That's what I've found. And I've done this, okay? I've challenged people's mindsets. I've challenged people's comments about hating St. Joe and wanting to move. And it's pretty amusing. Most of them don't have a leg to stand on. Oh, crime. Crime. Okay. It's perspective. So, hey, I hope you got something out of this. It's 4 reasons. 4 reasons I think St. Joe is stuck. Okay. Number 1, you go back to the beginning. Number 1, we never take an at bat. We never take a swing at our at bats. We get at bats. We never swing. We strike out without swinging. Number 2, just a conversation. Why do we have separate governments? Why don't we unify governments for efficiencies? Number 3, why doesn't St. Joe become more pro-business? Why don't we stop putting people through the ringer over dumb things like you don't have enough plants outside? Like, people are trying to do better. Number 4, mindset. We, as a community, the people we're around, we have to stop being negative. Cup of Joe, awesome coffee shop that just opened up on the north side of town. Awesome coffee shop right there off of Rochester Road by Tuscany Village area. When they announced they were opening Cup of Joe, the comments were flooded with negative backlash. Now, why in the hell would we ever come at people who are investing in our community, opening a really nice, brand new building coffee shop, developing an area with nice roads, nice curbs, everything else? Why would we greet them with negativity and not open arms and not welcome to the community? You know what the comments said? Oh, another coffee shop. Oh, that's just what we need. What? In what city do they have progress where that's their mindset? It's just pathetic. So, guys, I'm at almost an hour here. I got a lunch meeting shortly. I'm cruising through some of these comments. Then I'm going to put this on Facebook and I'm going to put it on YouTube. Ashley says it's frustrating seeing St. Joe decline. I've traveled the country and seen other communities rebuild and revive. All I see is empty buildings and more coming. We build new in the north shops and let others stay empty and run down. We do. And you know what? Part of that's because of the stipulations and the stringent policy we have on downtown development. And it's progress, but it's not quick enough. Greed and power egos. Completely agree. Yet people in office who are completely agree. It's the way that we've always done it. Biggest stopper in innovation. Steven said that. Couldn't agree with you more. It's why change? Why change? I had one guy shared this with, I heard about this. He shared that he likes that the census has declined because less taxes since there'll be less people to support. Well, sir, your thinking is very flawed. If you share that mindset, you're an idiot. Straight up. If the population declines, taxes are going to go up. Plain and simple. Simple math. Do the math. Casey, let's see here. Cruising through some of these comments. I'm going to end the video, guys. Sorry, they're unorganized as all get out. Okay. Casey, Iron District's amazing. St. Joe has the ability to be one of the best cities in the nation. My goodness. If it'd take years, but it could be a damn good one. I agree. Too many city employees given power, and it's gone to their heads. 100%. Tree on a neighboring piece of property on the tree is being undermined by the drainage system of the city, is making a huge sycamore that falls on my building. It's the property stuff is crazy. Trying to nail landlords with, you need to have a business license for your, and we're going to come do checks, and then they don't enforce it, but they choose to when they're going to enforce it. But it was ridiculous. Completely agree, though. Too many city employees given power. And that's all it is power, because these aren't even really paid positions. They're getting stipends. They're getting their cell phone paid for in a gas stop. I mean, like, they're getting there because it's ego and they don't really want to make a change. Attitude reflects leadership. Remember the Titans. Amen. Agree. A good thing. Yeah, a good thing that's come are mountain bike trails, and everybody complains. Everybody complains. Why would we spend money on the parks? Why would we spend money on the parkway system? Why would we spend money on the bike trails? At least it's something, and it's damn nice. Everybody complains. PMR Properties. Everything you're saying is true, but St. Joseph is no more difficult to work with than any other mid-sized small city. 1,000% disagree with you. 1,000% from experience disagree with you. I've worked with small, medium, and major metros all over the country. It is not true. St. Joseph is extremely difficult. When I went to Maryville, Missouri, just 45 minutes north, much smaller than us, obviously. Greg McDaniel, that city manager up there, you can like him, dislike him, whatever you want. At least the guy is changing things for the better. At least the guy is pushing forward. At least he's pushing projects on despite what people think. That guy in that community, they bent rules to accommodate. And they do to accommodate all. I completely disagree with that comment. It is way more difficult than those cities to work in. St. Joseph is the only city of our size in America that outsources economic development to the outside party called the Chamber. So I can't speak to if it is the only city in America. I don't know enough, and I'm not going to talk about something I don't know. Interesting perspective, though. Well said. Would love to have a convo. I'm always open for convos. Salute. The new rental. I'm surprised you didn't bring up the new rental inspections. Obviously, that was before I just did. Rental inspections are a joke. Either do something or don't. I don't even know why it's a joke. More stories about opening a business. John, I got 100 people. I hope you come forward. Comment your story on this message, please. Just another tax on the rental inspections, 100%. Getting the last few things here. Yeah. Dale Eaton, I know you own businesses in town. I wish you would. I wish you would comment some things about what you've dealt with. Yeah, blank stares. This guy says, I've spoken to almost every one of your points and get blank stares. That's what I get. And a few glares. Oh, why would you bring that up? People just don't want to have serious conversations. The gotcha attitude dealing with City Hall. That's what I felt like. That's what I felt like with the Fit Republic thing that just happened to me. I was already done with it, and they come in and say, gotcha, and they give me a stop work order. It's ridiculous. It is a gotcha mindset, and it's inconsistent as all get out. I'm going to go to the last couple comments here, guys. If you put your ear to the ground, you can hear the giant sucking sound of private individuals' money leaving St. Joe. Nothing will change until the power and influence. Yeah, but people are going to keep leaving this place. I agree with you. But people are going to keep leaving this place when it keeps going on the path it is. And you can't blame them. And I've chosen to stay here and going to keep trying to stay here. See how it progresses. And then, move out of St. Joe. Take your negative attitude with you. Psh, man, bounce if you don't like it. But if you're here and you want change, speak up. Let's band together. Let's make a difference. This is 1 hour. I got a lunch meeting. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope you pass it on.